Hey all, it's Matt, your average gamer, and today we've got the top 20 spells and incantations ranked with powerful builds. Before we jump in, if you're looking for some extra energy, you can get 20% off G Fuel with the code YOURAVERAGEGAMER, all capital letters, in the description below. The first one here is simple, Glintstone Pebble. Now we've got all of the Faith Incantations on a 150 character, but here we have a rune level 200 mage for the magic spells with 150 stats after each build. Everything will be timestamped as well in the description below. As for Glintstone Pebble at number 20, it's a powerful and easily spammable spell. It's used often in PvP, and for PvE, its low FP cost versus the damage you get makes it never a bad option. Sure, there's 19 more powerful spells and incantations on this list, but Glintstone Pebble is the definition of reliable. This spell can carry you through the majority of your first Elden Ring playthrough. Now for this video, if you're going to hang with me for the whole video, we're going to be taking on side bosses to make it a little bit quick, but we're going to mix in some early and mid-game bosses. As far as the bosses themselves though, there's not too many spoilers in this video. I know we get a lot of new players this time of year, especially around the holidays and with sales. And I have a little bit of a cold right now, but not too big of a deal. We're going to get through this and have a lot of fun with this video as we go over the top 20 spells and incantations, and here in a second we're going to go over equipment. For equipment, we have Lucett's Glintstone Staff plus 10. We have the Jellyfish Shield. Any seal will do. We have Azur's Set On, Ritual Swords Talisman, Graven Mask, Graven School Talismans, Magic Scorpion Charm, Magic Tier, and then you can use the Faith Tier if you want for buffs, or the Infinite FP Tier, and for the 200 stats, they're here. And then the 150 stats, which essentially you can use Golden Vow, Ash of War, and then Terra Magica to boost your damage a fairly good amount. At number 19, we have Catch Flame, and here we took on an NPC invader as I picked random bosses and enemies to make the list go at a reasonable pace. Catch Flame is useful and it's incredibly quick to cast. It's the up-close Glintstone Pebble for Faith builds, quick and a low FP cost to make it very useful and very viable. Catch Flame is very solid for Faith builds. Let's get into equipment. For equipment, we have the Erdtree Seal, and then we have the Jellyfish Shield. We had part of the Tree Sentinel armor set on, Phlox Canvas Talisman, Ritual Swords Talisman, Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman, Fire Scorpion Charm, Fire Tier, Faith Tier. Let's get into the 150 stats. And for the 150 stats, we have 70 Faith with the Faith Tier. We went for 20 Strength, so you can use something like the Blasphemous Blade if you want to. You got a little bit of Strength in there, and then we can use the Jellyfish Shield. We also have 60 Vigor for a well-rounded build. At number 18, we have Rock Sling. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Rock Sling in Elden Ring, given that it's often slow, but it is a pure physical option for a mage that also does posture damage. Rock Sling is very reliable, especially early game. This one can carry you against magic-resistant bosses like Renala as well, allowing some solid physical damage output. It's definitely a solid option if you're looking for physical damage from a mage. Let's get into equipment. For equipment, we have Lucett's Glintstone Staff plus 10. Meteorite Staff in the offhand for the 30% boost, which is better than the Jellyfish Shield. Azur's Glintstone set as usual. Ritual Swords Talisman, Graven Mask, and School Talisman. And then we have the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman, Magic Tier, Infinite FP Tier. Let's get into stats. And these are the 200 stats again that you're going to see fairly often, but everything's timestamped. It gives me a second to talk over them. I was doing some Faith buffs on my mage character because it's at 200, but if you're going for the 150 stats, again, use the Golden Vow, Ash of War, and then you can use Terra Magica for solid damage. At number 17, we have a pretty epic battle with Lightning Spear here. Lightning Spear is reliable and can be charged, doing solid damage from a range. You can also cast this on horseback for more fun, which is what you're going to see here. This can be boosted by the Godfrey icon, allowing for some added damage when fully charged. The range, by the way, is really great on this too, making a reliable option for Faith builds. Lightning Spear for me is a powerful incantation to build around, simply for the fact that its range and ease of use make it viable in most situations. Another plus, bosses generally take good lightning damage. And as you can see, the dragon go down here with Lightning Spear only, and that was a good way to take him down because he takes even more lightning damage. Let's get into equipment. Now we have the Gravel Stone Seal, which will boost it by 15%, preferably at plus 25. And then we have the Jellyfish Shield as well, part of the Tree Sentinel set on. I just want to say real quick, by the way, if you're at a high level though, the Golden Order Seal will beat the Gravel Stone Seal's damage, as it beats most things aside from the Dragon Communion Seal. We have the Phlox Canvas Talisman, Ritual Swords Talisman, Godfrey Icon, Lightning Scorpion Charm, Lightning Tier, Faith Tier. Let's get into stats for this one. Now we're using Golden Vow and Howl of Shabriri, and then we have Lightning Spear as well. We have 60 Vigor, we got to 70 Faith, 25 Mind, 31 Endurance. We have 20 Strength for the Jellyfish Shield. Overall, this is a well-rounded build if you want to take advantage of the range and power of Lightning Spear as a Faith build. At number 16, we have a personal favorite, Black Flame. Black Flame is super reliable, and another one you can get early game with the proper seal in Stormveil Castle. This is a great choice for many Faith builds, as it does both fire and percentage damage. The damage you get per relatively quick casting is well worth it, and it can take down a lot of bosses with a little patience. Black Flame goes well with the 15% added damage from the Godslayer seal, and you either add in another seal or the Jellyfish Shield to stack it. The Jellyfish Shield will add up to 5% more than the seal's 15% boost. So it's up to you. If you're on New Game Plus or later, you can definitely get 2 seals, the 2 Godslayer seals. If you don't have that option, the Jellyfish Shield is a fine substitute if you're running a build like the one I'm running, where essentially you can go for the 20 strength. And it's something I like too, because having that extra strength gives us some strength faith builds like the Bubble build or the Blasphemous Blade build, which work really well too. Let's get into equipment. Now for equipment, we have the Godslayer Seal plus 25, Jellyfish Shield, part of the Tree Sentinel set on. We have the Phlox Canvas Talisman, Ritual Swords Talisman, Godfrey Icon, Fire Scorpion Charm, Fire Tier, Faith Tier. Let's get into stats. For stats here, same as the all other Faith setups because it's all similar, right? We're going for 70 Faith, we have the 20 Strength, we have a good amount of Endurance so we can get some armor going for us too. I like some of the heavier armor sets. And then we have 25 Mind, 60 Vigor. We're using Golden Vow, Howl of Shabriri, and Black Flame. At number 15, we have Rock Blaster, a kind of goofy and fun spell that I enjoy because when you can pull it off, it hits super hard. It's a spell that can keep going, doing constant damage to whatever boss you're facing. It ends with an epic slam down for even more damage and goes well with the infinite FP tier. Now this is one as a mage that you're going to have to be up close and personal, so it can be a little bit difficult to pull off. Let's get into equipment for this setup. For equipment, we have Lucette's Glintstone Staff again because of the scaling plus 10. Jellyfish Shield, any seal will do. We have Azur's Glintstone set on. Ritual Swords Talisman. Graven Mask Tool Talisman. We have Magic Scorpion Charm. Infinite FP tier. Magic tier. Let's get into the stats. And you can see here I'm using the Golden Vow Incantation. We're using Terra Magica and Rock Blaster. We also have 80 Intelligence and 60 Vigor. Now, for the 150 stats, I ended up going for 50 Vigor, but we did get to 80 Intelligence. You use the Golden Vow Ash of War. At number 14, we have Lorreta's Mastery, which is great for ranged attacks. This is a powerful option to hit hard from a range that is reliable too. This one isn't as useful for quick bosses as it has a very long charge time overall. This spell shines most when you're at a good distance and able to get in Terra Magica as well. Overall, another fun one to pull off from a ranged. Let's get into equipment. For equipment, again, we have Lucette's Glintstone Staff. We have the Jellyfish Shield, any seal will do. Same armor set on. Ritual Swords Talisman, Graven Mask Talisman, Godfrey Icon because it's chargeable. We have the Magic Scorpion Charm, Infinite FP tier, Magic tier. Let's get into stats. For stats here, we have Lorreta's Mastery. We're using Terra Magica. You can again use the Golden Vow Ash of War. Same stats and setup for most of these spells here. I just have everything because it's time-stamped and I'm going through it a little bit quickly too. At number 13, we have Glintstone Breath, which is powerful and something I really like on dragon builds. So there are better dragon incantations actually there's many of them than this one. But for me, this is so easy to aim, and the fact that it does pure magic damage makes it quite potent. This is something I really enjoy using. I really like Glintstone Breath for the pure magic damage and the amount of range it has. You can easily make an overpowered build with this incantation and take some bosses' HP down super fast. Give this one a try and you'll be cruising through many of Eldenring's bosses with a lot of magic damage and a good amount of range as well. By the way, I'll mention this again at the end, but I want to know what your favorite spells and incantations are, so be sure to comment that below in the comment section. Let me know what you use and why you like the spells and incantations you use. Let's get into equipment. For equipment, we have the Dragon Communion Seal and the Jellyfish Shield, part of this Tree Sentinel armor set on again. Phlox Canvas Talisman, Ritual Swords Talisman, Roar Medallion, Magic Scorpion Charm, Magic Tier, Faith Tier. Let's get into stats. For this one, we use Golden Vow and Halashaburi again, and then we're using Glintstone Breath. I have 55 Vigor, 23 Mind, 30 Endurance, 20 Strength, and then we hit the soft caps, so we have 45 Faith and 45 Arcane, and that'll give us really good scaling with the Dragon Communion Seal, so we can get good damage out of Glintstone Breath. In number 12 and 11, I combined two that were tied, Ronnie's Dark Moon and Glintstone Icecrag. These are both great options for the Frosty buff and combine well together. I would put Renala's Full Moon here too, which is a little quicker to cast. Ronnie's does more damage though and can build up Frost, sometimes able to proc it in a single cast depending on the boss. I like putting these two together for a powerful Frost build, and I'm once again using Lucette's staff to take advantage of its incredibly high intelligence scaling at the cost of a little bit more FP per cast. If you're max level, Prince of Death staff is the only one that beats it completely, which reaches over 450 scaling versus the 413 of Lucette's at 80 intelligence versus 80 faith and 80 intelligence. And we're able to take down the dragon here in a second in the Altus Plateau. This is a relatively tough fight most of the time, but if you're a mage, as far as the dragons go, if you just keep aiming at their head, they take additional damage to the head. You can take them down fairly quickly, and we're going to get into equipment here for this build. For the setup, we have Lucette's Glintstone Staff again, the Jellyfish Shield, same set of armor on, Ritual Swords Talisman, Graven Mask Talisman, Magic Scorpion Charm, Graven School Talisman. We have the Infinite FP tier and Magic tier. Let's show the stats again. And if once again you're wondering why I'm showing the stats, I'm making it very quick, but it's because I timestamped them all as builds. They'll all be timestamped in the description below as builds, so you can go back and use any specific setup, because sometimes the talismans and stuff change too. Now on the 150 stats, we hit 80 intelligence, 50 vigor there. And number 10, Meteorite of Astel is a powerful option that sometimes needs some RNG. This is mostly physical damage spell that can bring down meteors that do posture damage as well as being continuously casted for a ton of damage. Meteorite of Astel can be tricky to build around, but I have a powerful setup for it. This one is best against larger targets. For any small targets, Comet Azur is generally a direct upgrade with range and an easier setup. This deals only slight magic damage, and the rest is going to be physical damage as far as Meteorite of Astel itself. We're going to get new equipment for this one. For equipment, once again, we're using Lucette's Glintstone Staff plus 10. We have the Meteorite Staff in the offhand, though, because that'll give us a 30% damage boost, beats the Jellyfish Shield, Ritual Swords Talisman, Graven Mask and School Talisman, Dragoncrest Great Shield Talisman, Infinite FP tier, Magic tier. Let's talk about stats. Now this one scales the same, so you're going to go really high in intelligence. You want to pump that all the way up to 80 if you can, and on the 150 stats you're going to see that here. It's basically the same thing. I do have some different 150 stats. I'll explain them specifically for Night Comet as well. Let's go into the next one. And number 9, Adula's Moonblade is a powerful frost option, and personally my favorite for mobs in Eldenring. This spell has a wide reach and arc and does frost damage very quickly. It's also easy to cast, and up close can take down bosses fast. Personally, I almost always have Adula's Moonblade on hand on my mage character so that I can take out any mobs and destroy them with ease. Bosses this is solid for as well, but basically that wide sweep, the frost buildup and everything, it can handle mobs quite easily. It's something I'm always using on my character. Let's get new equipment. Similar setup here with Lucette's Glintstone Staff. Any seal will do. We're using the Jellyfish Shield for this one. Same set of armor on. We have the Ritual Swords Talisman, Graven Mask Talisman, Magic Scorpion Charm, Graven School Talisman. Then we have the Infinite FP tier, Magic tier. Let's get into stats. By the way, if anybody's looking for a powerful 150 to 200 level mage character, definitely check out some of the setups that I have here. I can tell you that I've cruised through New Game Plus 7 easier on my mage character than any other build. It truly is easy mode when you're running a powerful mage. At number 8, I have Comet, and although there's a direct upgrade in Night Comet, Comet itself is powerful as well. This can also go well with Lucette's Staff and is a powerful chargeable range option for battle. Comet is definitely a solid choice to have on hand, and you don't have to switch staffs for it, so I like that part. Let's get new equipment. For equipment, we have Lucette's Glintstone Staff plus 10, Jellyfish Shield again, Azur set also with the Glintstone Crown. We have the Ritual Swords Talisman, and then we have Graven Mask Talisman, Magic Scorpion Charm, we have the Godfrey Icon, and then we have the Infinite FP tier and Magic tier. Let's jump into stats again. Once again, showing the stats briefly so we can go over them. I like running Comet Azur with Comet. Everything as far as this build goes, you can essentially get a little bit of a boost too with the Glintstone Crown. And the 150 stats here, we hit 80 intelligence, 50 vigor for a well-rounded, powerful build. In number 7, I have Shard Spiral in a bit of a rough fight with Radahn. This spell is amazing against large targets. I cannot stress that enough. It's chargeable and very powerful against bigger bosses since it pierces through them to do continuous damage. This is a spell I recommend for any mage struggling with Elden Beast or even Radahn here, as it can go through them doing damage with the piercing ability it has. This can stack with Terra Magica for more than 5,000 damage per cast. This is another spell I frequently have on me, and it's chargeable too. Be sure to give this one a try if you want a simple spell for those large targets in Elden Ring that usually have big health pools. And Radahn turns into a little bit of a pain here because I forgot I didn't have any FP. I definitely could have hit him for more damage. He's going to come back down. Make sure you avoid this attack always. And then we're going to hit him with Shard Spiral some more because he takes a lot of damage. Any of the big targets in the game, it'll pierce through them, going usually for about 3 to 5, maybe even 6,000 damage per charge cast. Yeah, this one, Shard Spiral and Adula's Moonblade, as I mentioned, I always have these on hand. They're fantastic together. Adula's Moonblade for getting up close, getting in that frost damage, maybe even the frost proc, and for taking out mobs. And then Shard Spiral for any of the big bosses. Generally speaking, they're all going to have a lot of HP. So use Shard Spiral, charge it, combine it with Terra Magica, and you can absolutely shred them with it. Let's get into equipment. Same thing, Lucett's Glintstone Staff plus 10, Jellyfish Shield, same set of armor on. We have the Ritual Swords Talisman, Graven Mask Talisman, Magic Scorpion Charm. We have the Godfrey Icon because it is chargeable. We have the Infinite FP tier, Magic tier. Let's get into stats. By the way, I was using Renala's Full Moon there to get a little bit of a debuff too, and then Shard Spiral, of course, Terra Magica, and then you can use the Golden Vow Ash of War if you're going for the 150 stats again. I'll show them quickly here as everything's timestamped in the description. At number 6, Giant's Flame Take Thee makes the cut, being a powerful fire option that can crush bosses as well as the tree avatars in Elden Ring. This giant fireball is chargeable too, making a great option for faith builds. Another plus is you get to throw around giant fireballs, as pyromancy builds since the Dark Souls days have been, they're just a ton of fun. They're fire, so to speak. For equipment, we have the 2 giant seals for the boost. You can run a Jellyfish Shield 2, Tree Sentinel set, Flux Canvas Talisman, Ritual Swords Talisman, Godfrey Icon, Fire Scorpion Charm, Fire tier, Faith tier. Let's get into stats. Now we're using Golden Vow and Hellish Shabriri and Giant's Flame Take Thee. Here we have 70 Faith, 60 Vigor, 25 Mind, 31 Endurance for a well-rounded Giant's Flame Take Thee build. At number 5, we have Carian Slicer, a quick option that can chew through boss HP when combined with Terra Magica. This is an amazing and strong option for up-close combat as a mage. Here, Morgott takes a lot of damage from it in a quick fight, and this is easily one of the most powerful spells in the game for damage while also having reasonable FP cost. Yeah, Carian Slicer can dish out a lot of damage. It really is an impressive, just quick toolkit for a mage where you can just kind of go up close and absolutely chew through boss HP. It does a ton of damage. It can be boosted by Terra Magica as well because it's pure magic damage. Let's get into equipment for this one. Now, I use my same mage setup again. Lucette Staff plus 10, Jellyfish Shield, same armor set, and then I don't go in for anything successive attack-wise, just Ritual Swords Talisman, Graven Mask Talisman, Graven Skull Talisman, Magic Scorpion Charm, Infinite FP tier, Magic tier. That's Margit Shackle, by the way. Let's get into stats. And for stats here, we have 80 Intelligence. Again, same 200 Mage stats if you want a really powerful level 200 Mage. And the 150 stats are the same here. They're no different. We went for 80 Intelligence, and you can use the Golden Vow Ash of War for extra damage. At number 4, we have Burno Flame, which needs some RNG, but overall is a reliable and powerful fire option. This incantation is particularly good against Malenia, being able to knock her down often if you're ever having trouble. I'll leave my Malenia strategy in the description below for anyone struggling with her. I've actually been using that strat on Malenia. I think it's been a year now since I've been using that strategy, and it's fantastic against her. It knocks her down, and she takes the full complement of fire damage. This is another fun one to use too that has a high damage ceiling, and bosses generally take solid fire damage. As far as Burno Flame goes, the other thing is if they have higher up attacks, you can actually dodge their attacks by using the animation on Burno Flame, which makes it fantastic for a lot of the bosses in the game. Let's get into equipment. For equipment, we have 2 Giant Seals again, just like the Giant's Flame Take Thee build. We're using the Tree Sentinel set here. We have the Flux Canvas Talisman, Ritual Swords Talisman, Godfrey Icon, Fire Scorpion Charm, Fire tier, Faith tier. Let's get into stats. Now, first stats here, by the way, we're also using Golden Vow and Hellish Shabriri. It's actually 5% better than Flame Grant Me Strength because it's pure fire damage. We have Burn No Flame, and then we have 60 Vigor, 70 Faith with the Faith tier, 31 Endurance, 25 Mind, 20 Strength for a well-rounded Burn No Flame build. At number 3, we have Ancient Dragon Lightning Strike, which is a powerful incantation that could one-shot bosses. However, it does need some RNG. Even if you run a simple build like this one I have here with only 2 or 3 buffs, it can do amazing damage. It's reliable against large targets, and only 2 things on this list beat it in my opinion. Let's get into equipment. For equipment, we have the Gravelstone Seal, plus 25 preferably, and the Jellyfish Shield. We have part of the Tree Sentinel set on, Flux Canvas Talisman, Ritual Swords Talisman, Lightning Scorpion Charm, Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman, Lightning tier, and then we have the Faith tier. By the way, I was going to say real quick, I almost said it, but the Godfrey icon was patched out. It doesn't work for Ancient Dragon Lightning Strike anymore, so be aware of that. Other than that, we have the same stats as Burn No Flame, since we're going with 70 Faith with the Faith tier. At number 2, we have Comet Azur, an amazing spell that can be channeled continuously while being able to destroy bosses very easy. By the way, if you want to pay attention on screen, the buffing order, we're using Terra Magica, the Jellyfish Shield, drinking our Infinite FP tier, and then using this incredibly powerful beam to absolutely destroy the Draconic Tree Sentinel. Yeah, Comet Azur is an incredibly powerful thing to build around. You can get so much damage out of it. It can absolutely wipe bosses completely off the map, literally speaking. It's amazing. Let's get into equipment. For equipment, we have Lucette's Glintstone Staff, plus 10 as usual, with the Jellyfish Shield. Any seal will do. We have the Ritual Swords Talisman, Graven Mask Talisman, Magic Scorpion Charm, Graven School Talisman, Infinite FP tier, Magic tier, and we're going to get into the stats again here. And we're using Golden Vow Incantation, but you can use the Ash of War. And then we have Terra Magica and Comet Azur, of course, for a very powerful Comet Azur build. And that's the setup you can use there, the same as usual. You can get a ton of damage with this setup on Comet Azur. At number 1, we have the most powerful spell in Eldenring, which many of you know is Night Comet. Night Comet gets an absurd 60% damage boost when using 2 Staves of Loss. It's chargeable, and its damage is insanely good. This is a spell that can carry you time and time again. It's easy mode. Yeah, I've done a couple of runs with Night Comet and never had an easier run. The only thing that comes close for me is the Blasphemous Blade, but overall, it truly is incredible how easy it is with Night Comet. Let's get into equipment. For equipment, we have 2 Staves of Loss. We're only using the upgraded one to cast with, so you only need one of them upgraded. The same set of armor on, Ritual Swords Talisman, Graven Mask Talisman, Godfrey Icon, Magic Scorpion Charm, Infinite FP tier, Magic tier. Let's get into stats. Now, these are the same 200 stats, but there's going to be different 150 stats here. You would use the Faith tier if you're at 150, and this is how you're going to run your setup. You're going to go for 60 Intelligence, and then you're going to use buffs like Golden Vow, the Incantation, and then Hellish Shabriri. With Terra Magica included, you'll get a ton of damage with Night Comet. This is a funny clip I decided to share as I did the footage for this on Thanksgiving night when I was a bit tired. I guess I got lucky here. You're going to see something funny where I end up landing. I was going for the larval tier, by the way, which I always end up pretty much getting them all at this point, and thought this was funny, so I added this in, and I decided to throw this in and share it with you guys. I guess we've all had moments like this, but yeah, I got a little lucky with where I landed here. Didn't mean to hit that button, flew off the horse, and landed right there, so that was fun. Thanks for watching this one. I made this as quick as I could and covered my top 20 spells and incantations with overpowered builds. This was fun to do and hopefully helped a bit when ranking stuff. These are all powerful options with the top 5 all being crazy good. Be sure to comment your favorite spell or incantation. Thanks for watching and be sure to sub.